thing is, it's not worth rushing your dog out. Morning YouTubers, Facebookers and Instagrammers. So this morning we are talking about beating. It's that time of year. Have you got a new dog? Have you been training this summer? And you're about to go out at the beginning of your season. Maybe you've been out with a dog before, you've trained a few dogs, maybe this is your first dog. But there's some things you need to always try and remember. And the first and most important thing is, it's not worth rushing your dog out. Potentially you might have 10 years working career in your dog if you're lucky. And just to rush out over the first year, even 2 seasons, and do too much, and then effectively end up blowing your dog's head, which is what happens a lot of the time. Everyone's seen a maze strip. Beaters are at the beginning of the strip, and by the time they get a quarter of the way down, there's already a cocker running out the other end towards the guns. That's not cool, man. And you're not going to be very popular with the keeper. Also, another thing, straight away, maze. There's literally no reason at this time of year to have a dog off the lead in maze. If you get down on your hands and knees and look down those nice little neat rows, all you'll see is 1,000 little partridge feet running around. Bloody fatal, that. Don't want to be doing that. Keep your dog on the lead if you have to be in the maze. Once it goes over at the end of the season, that's a different matter. You can see from one end of the strip to the other. It creates a nice little bit of cover, little hiding spots for hen birds and cockbirds. That's fine, you can see your dog all the time. That's different, I'm not talking about that. The other thing you need to try and remember is you're going to be doing way less than you probably think you should be doing. So these are some of the rules that I like to go by. Don't be working your dog every drive. Maybe just take it out the morning or afternoon. If you're new on a shoot, perhaps go for the first couple without a dog. Get a feel for what the drives are like, how the keeper operates, where the good places are to go, maybe where the birds are pooling and where they're not. Then you haven't got the pressure of dealing with your dog. The worst thing about being in the beating line, especially on a new shoot or anywhere, is that suddenly you've gone from training on your own probably to having people around you, so you feel very conscious about what you're doing. You're likely to slip up and not correct any mistakes that happen. That's fatal. You know, it's not quite like a dog getting trial smart, where obviously the dog finds out very quickly if you're not smart, that it can get away with things. But it's still easy to end up making mistakes in the beating line, so you need to try and avoid that. So yeah, absolutely, you need to try and make sure that you're not doing too much. So as I said, maybe do every other drive. Only do the first half of the drive. When the birds are starting to pull, put your dog back on the lead. Don't be scared to say to the keeper, you've got a young dog, you don't want to do too much, and you know, you might be backing off at certain places. That's really, really important. Unfortunately, on a shoot day, everyone with a dog is a dog trainer, and yet none of them are under control. So you need to make sure that you stand fast, stick to your guns, make sure you don't get pressured into doing something you don't need to. And if your dog is purely a beating dog, don't go picking birds up. That's just going to make your dog more fragile on the drop. Okay, so we're not going to work every drive. We're just going to do bits and bobs. If you get a big thicket of cover, don't put your dog in it. Those birds are there for another day. It's not a big deal, okay? If you can't see around a bit of cover or you couldn't get round to it really quick, leave it, okay? Dog goes through there, bumps a bird, sees it, you're not behind it, gets away with it. It's a slippery slope, guys. So make sure you're on top of that. Yeah, so you've got some rules there that you want to stick to. And, you know, if your dog's starting to get hot, put the dog back on the lead, okay? Put it away at lunchtime or just take it out in the afternoon. But be sensible, don't do stupid stuff. These dogs are incredibly unforgiving, I say it all the time. If you're a novice and you make mistakes, you're probably gonna really struggle, so really stick to your guns. The other thing is, I don't know if you can see behind me, rabbit pen. If you can't get round a rabbit pen without having if you can't get round the rabbit pen without making any faults, then you probably shouldn't be going out. I'm not saying it's the same as the beating line, but it's a false economy. If you feel you cannot sit your dog up on all those flushes and control your dog without it getting too hot, be patient. You can always go out in the second half of the season. You don't need to do this beginning part, especially on these partridges. You do not need your young dog on these partridges. It's just not necessary. Unless you're in parts of the country like Lincoln and stuff where they do partridges and they're in sort of beat and that's slightly different. You can see your dog all the time. But certainly down here in Hampshire where there's lots and lots of maze, you really don't want to be having that dog in that beating line or maze. Wait till November, October, when the leaves have dropped, there's a few less birds, they're a bit more savvy, they're not running around like idiots. Yeah, so I hope there's some rules there that can help you out. You know, I love a good rant, but all this stuff is really, really important for keeping your dog straight. Right, I hope you enjoy yourselves, guys. Get out there, train safe, play safe, and have a good time.